Okay, hey everyone. Hope you guys are all having a great day today. Okay, just 1 second here. Okay. Okay, here we go. Days Gone video later today. It's processing. I'm gonna try to have it out tonight. If not tonight, it'll be up early in the morning. Uh, I'm sorry I missed your birthday stream. Happy belated birthday. It's okay, Brian. Thank you, dude. You don't have to apologize for not, coming to my birthday stream, guys. Watch whenever you want. But thank you, everybody who wished me happy birthday. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I wanted to start the streams a little bit earlier. Okay, let's help, Pearson here. How you guys doing today on this Sunday? What's wrong, Dixon? Do I get sick of wearing the mask? No, not really. It's cool. It's like, I don't really get hot in this mask, so this mask's plenty to breathe out of. Is this the last part, or is it after it? There's still going to be, 3 parts left. There's a secret gun that you can unlock. I want to show you guys the secret gun also in the game. Oh, I apologize for that, Greens. I was just doing a few things with my family after the stream last night. I was really tired and went to bed shortly afterwards. I will take a look at it a little bit later, and I'll, reply to it. You said it was on my tweet yesterday, right? It was on the tweet yesterday, right? That's where the art was? I promise I'll take a look at it a little later. I'm sorry about that. I just got off last night because was really tired. Quasimodo predicted all this. Thank you, Will. Yeah. I know that's a quote from The Sopranos. One kilometer left. A police officer said something nasty to you while you were on a ride on your scooter. I'm sorry it happened to you. Cops aren't allowed in general to just curse at people, especially not for no reason. Cops are supposed to conduct themselves in a professional manner.
people. Car sold. Well done.
Every time I see someone else playing GTA Online, their video playback looks better. Is it because you're setting that makes the game look so good? Wait, my game looks better than everyone, or everyone's game looks better than mine? Wait, what? Bro, why didn't Rockstar reveal GTA 7 at the State of Play? Yeah, GTA 7 is living in the heads of clickbaiters. Thank you, Amar. Okay, it was just that? That's all we were selling there? Okay, best, best friend, I will help you, after I help Minifig, because I promised Minifig I'd help him after Pierston. So I'll help you, after I finish helping Minifig, okay? Okay, are you gonna play the new Hitman Elusive Target? Yeah, I'll try it, Axel. Thank you, Xavier, also for the super chat, Axel. You think GTA 6 will not live up to the hype? And I think it'll live up to the hype. It has to. Oh, you live in Canada, Dixon? Okay. Out of all the government agents in the GTA series, which one is the most honorable and which one is the worst? Heshton is probably the most honorable in GTA Chinatown Wars. The worst one would be Tenpenny or Steve Haynes. Yeah, I could, Alvinor. Thank you for the super chat. Okay. Oh, hey, WRV. What just happened? Hey, thank you, Will, for the super chat. And thank you, Ricardo. Hey, Pro, you gonna watch the FIFA World Cup? When is it? Maybe I'll watch it. What just happened? I can't move. Oh, what the? Now I'm confused.
I should work in a pit team.
2026, okay. Yes, if you join the session WRV, I can help you, but I'm gonna help Best Friend after I finish helping Minifig, and then I can help you. Oh yeah, I love Bioshock. I could play it one day. The new 007 game? I'm excited for it. Hey, Sheep Taco Man, how are you? Did I see the Black Ops 7 reveal? I saw a poster for it, but that's about it. Is there like a trailer or something? Does your old money making videos work for new accounts? Yeah. You know, pretty much all my guys are still relevant. Okay, let's see who can get there first.
All right, people.
No, I haven't yet, Jam. Yeah, I can definitely do that, Anthony. 100%, I can retry the 7-Day Survivor. I nearly had it last time, but then, you know, Ken came and killed me. What was the new Call of Duty reveal? Was it actually like a trailer, or was it only like a poster? Like, what was it actually? There's a trailer, huh? Okay. I'll probably take a look at it a little later. I look like a Payday 2 character, huh? Thank you. Killed a bunch of them too with that. Great. Also, that plane is pretty strong. I've done that mission multiple times. You can ram into a car when you're landing it, so it's not a concern. Damn, I'm getting firing squatted right here, right now. I think they are Swedish developers of Payday Overkill. Do I like James Bond? Yeah. I more like the older movies than the new ones, but yeah, somewhat. Will you do a video talking about the F student trend? If you don't know what it is, it's where students are posting videos of them destroying school property. What? Is that a TikTok thing? I will tell you guys this. I'm gonna do a crazy current events video later this week, and you guys will not believe me what happened. There was a DoorDash driver that came and to this guy's house, and the guy, you know, got his, you know, groceries. And what ended up happening afterwards is the DoorDash driver wasn't happy with the tip that he got. And so he came back to the guy's house with a gun and demanded a bigger tip. And the homeowner disarmed him. Like, just knocked him to the ground, disarmed him. It's actually on video. On the guy's doorbell camera, it's on video. And he disarmed him. And then the police came and arrested him. So, like, I cannot believe the DoorDash driver came back to the guy's house with a gun and demanded a bigger tip. That was, yeah, that's... But if you don't believe me, just look up the story. Look up DoorDash driver comes to guy's house with a gun. It just happened like a couple days ago. I think that the homeowner, though, the homeowner was like a buff guy, like he works out. He probably was ex-military or ex-cops. Maybe some kind of security, because he knew how to disarm him pretty fast. Yeah, I don't know what the hell is wrong with this tipping culture. I don't know. You know, this is getting out of control. The thing is, for me, like, whenever I give tips, I give either a 20 or 25% tip. That's how I've always done things. I'm very generous with my tips. And that one time I ordered from a burger restaurant that was like 10-15 minutes from my apartment, and I gave a 20% tip, and the driver was pissed off that the tip wasn't enough, and had basically taken my food. I didn't get my food. I did, Mustang. $25 tip. Do you think that's too much? My normal rate is 20%. Normally, I give 20% tips, but I give a 25% tip if it's like raining, or it's late at night, or it's snowing. If it's late at night, snowing or raining, I'll give it an extra 5%, so 25%. That's how my policy always done things. What are your thoughts on the Switch 2 tripling the 24-hour console launch sale records previously set by the PS4? By the way, belated happy birthday, Patrick. Thank you, Eric. Wait, so Switch 2 tripled the amount of PS4 sold in the first 24 hours? Really? Thank you, Eric, for the super chat. No, I still haven't LCPD. LCPD, I've just been so busy, and like this month I'm so busy because this month I'm doing like Half-Life, Brothers in Arms, I am doing Mind's Eye, also finishing up Ace Attorney and Days Gone. So it's like a lot of projects that I gotta get to, so I just haven't been able to play any other game really. Also, Minifig, go to your next business and please get your next business ready, because I'm about to deliver this. Yeah, we'll do Half-Life later this month. I know a lot of people have wanted me to play Half-Life. By the way, when I play Half-Life later this month, I'll also dress up as the main character. But I have never played a Half-Life game before. I've never played it. I don't even know what the plot is. I don't. It's gonna be my first time playing a Half-Life game. The main reason the reason I'm playing Half-Life is because you guys have told me to. Like, so many people have requested me play Half-Life. Like, a lot of people have. One of my viewers, he gave me a big donation like a couple weeks ago, and he asked me, "Can you please do a playthrough of Half-Life?" So I promised him we would also do Half-Life, and I'm also excited for it. So we're gonna be playing Half-Life. I never played the game, but I've heard it's really good. So we'll give the game a try when it comes out. The only thing I know about Half-Life is I know that it's like a it is like a game where he plays like a scientist, and there's like some lab or something like that, and some monsters. That's as far as I know. I don't know really much more about that. I know it's made by the same people that make Left 4 Dead, so I know that, but I don't really know anything more than that. Imagine telling someone in 2013 that it'll get a 7 Black Ops game before GTA 6. Yeah. Mafia series, later in July, or July and, end of June. How do I join your session? You'd have to have me added, buddy. It's just, I can try to add you if you want, but, it's, I have to play it like this, where I'm only in friends-only sessions, because, and also, for anybody who's watched, if you've watched my channel for, like, years, if you've watched my channel since at least, I would say, 2020, 2019, then you know this is like the most peaceful streams ever. Like, these streams are so peaceful, so chill. Like, 5 years ago when I did streams, they were out of control. They were just chaotic. I had people that were coming into the session constantly doing orbital cannon, you know, harassing me, griefing me, just talking crap, you know, sending rude messages. It was like really bad. And it was because it was public sessions. Public sessions were just horrible with that. But ever since I've been able to sell in like private sessions now, I don't have to worry about any more of that stuff anymore. So now it's just so peaceful. This is so peaceful now. The thing is though is that a lot of times when these when these idiots like you know, came and like griefed me a lot of times, I was also like, I was wondering, like, a lot of times I wondered, like, why? Like, why did you do that? Because, like, I'm not a toxic player. I don't constantly do PvP. I don't fight other players. I just want to, like, help people sell their businesses. That's it. Just help people make money on the game. But people constantly want to fight with me. Yeah, attention. That's what I think so too. You know what the funniest thing? You guys want to know the funniest way I trolled a griefer once? You want to know what I did once a long time ago? This guy, this guy just kept killing me in GTA Online, and he kept just texting me 1v1, 1v1, 1v1 over and over again, just spamming my phone with his messages 1v1. You know what I did? I invited him to a tennis match. And the guy wanted to 1v1 me so badly, he didn't even realize I invited him to a tennis match, and he just joined it right away. The only thing I regret about that is I didn't film it. I should have recorded that. I should have recorded that, because that would have been hilarious to make a video on that. That would have been hilarious. How did Captain Curry find out about Sarah being Deacon's wife? The tattoo that he has in the back is the same thing as the ring that Sarah had, and also he saw Sarah and Deacon kissing. Uh, I can't make this drop. Can you guys make this drop? What's going on here? Drop's not working here. Yeah, it's not working. The drop isn't working. Fable? I don't know. I've never been into those games, really. Thank you, Casey. Yeah, truck, I think, the truck is bugged, I think. I can't make the drop to either one of them. Minifig, you're gonna have to take the truck from me. I can't make the drop. It's not working. Yeah, you are right in a way, zombie. Have you ever heard of Enver Hoxha? He was the dictator of Albania for 40 years. He's basically the Albanian version of Stalin. Yeah. He also allied with China, and he built this crazy like bunker network all over Albania. Uh, what you need to know about the STM strike, Patrick? Wait, what, Bork? STM? What's that? Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, so look at this, guys. Like, How long ago did the crates update came out? 9 years ago. It came out 9 years, and there's still glitches where you can't deliver cargo properly. So we weren't even able to deliver them with the trucks here. Many fake. You're gonna have to close your app and rejoin. You're gonna lose 3 crates, but you'll only lose 3 crates. Montreal Metro. It's crazy to me that the Colonel believes Skizzo over Deacon, who did a lot of jobs for him. He's, yeah, the Colonel is an idiot. And here's the thing is, the Colonel never, was an officer in the military. He never actually was. He's a liar. He's a fraud. He served in the military decades ago, and he actually got thrown out of the military for drugs. So he was actually kicked out of, dishonorable discharge out of the military for drug use. And so when the apocalypse happened, he basically wanted to pretend to be like, this big officer that's calling the shots, this big soldier that he always wanted to be. When he never was an actual officer in the military. He never was. He doesn't know what Deacon's unit is. And he tells Deacon, don't lie to me, I'll know. And then he also says the exact same thing to Skizzo, don't lie to me, I'll know. And he believes Skizzo. Also, there's more proof that Colonel Garrett was not a military officer, because Colonel Garrett ordered the militia to have their armory right next to the gate, the main gate. Now, why do you think that would be a bad idea, having your armory, all of your weapons, located at the main gate? That's one of the stupidest things that a military can do. Like, having all of your guns, your armory, right near the front entrance to the base is one of the stupidest things that you can do. But that's basically what's going to cause the militia's downfall in the end. Sorry I didn't come to your birthday stream. I wish you all the best in the world. May you always be happy and succeed. You are an amazing person. Thank you, Akiva. Thank you for the super chat. Is he really going to attack and kill everyone at Lost Lake? Oh, yeah. He, Colonel Garrett wants to basically genocide every single other survivor camp. So, like, he basically thinks the militia are the last line of mankind left, and that everyone else should die. That's, his belief. When I expose IE for blatant lies, fraud, Patrick? Wait, what are you talking about? What's IE? What is that, Bork? Thank you for the super chat. I'm confused. You don't have to super chat me again. Can you just explain what you mean? What's going on? What's IE? Who's worse, Vladimir Makarov in Call of Duty or Dmitry? Makarov. Oh yeah, Makarov caused way more suffering. Thank you, Alvanor. Oh, dude, join. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't see the invite, minifig. I'm sorry. Remember when Inside Edition changed the story of one of their segments? Oh, Inside Edition, that's what you're talking about. Are you talking about the police shooting at the wedding in Florida? Is that what you're talking about, Bork? That's the case? Go to the crash site, okay. Am I gonna play Resident Evil? Maybe one day, but right now it's not on my planned list of games. Been making 1 million a day grinding vehicle cargo and acid and mixed goods this week. Yep. It's a great event, too. This is the best time to make money on GT Online. There's just so many different ways to make money on the game. I've pretty much given up making money on this game because I have so much money already. Been making 1 million a day grinding vehicle cargo. Yep. Is this the summer update is gonna come out this month or next month? what's coming out next Tuesday? The update? I mean, we don't know yet. I guess we'll see. Go, go, go. What's leaked? Wait, what? I was watching some of your old lore videos. Do you still think Kenny Petrovich and that homeless guy who found the diamonds is going to be in GTA 6? If Rockstar follows their lore, yes, Cayman. They will. Thank you, Cayman. 6 more months until Fallout Season 2 comes out, and I'm really excited. Hopefully, it'll be just as good as Season 1. Are you looking forward to it? Oh, of course, Jimmy. Yep. Definitely. Bork, what story were you talking about, by the way? Which Inside Edition story? Is it the Florida wedding? Is that the one you were talking about? Thank you, Jimmy, for being a member of my channel for nearly 2 years. And also, Caesar's Legion is going to be in Season 2 of Fallout. They will be. And I really hope, if they have Caesar's Legion in Season 2 of Fallout, I really hope that Caesar's Legion are probably going to be the antagonists. But I really hope they're not incompetent, like they're not stupid. Because Caesar's Legion managed to conquer all of Arizona. So, you know, you're not going to have stupid people that managed to do all of that. So I really hope the show doesn't portray them as incompetent. How many countries fought in the Korean War? The United States, Canada, Turkey. Turkey was actually a big one in the Korean War. South Korea. On the communist side, it was North Korea and China, and the Soviet Union, because the Soviet Union did send pilots in the Korean War. What else we got? It was a United Nations mission, but the U.S. was the biggest force in the Korean War. So there was other, there was other armies that fought, but it was mainly the U.S. that was in the Korean War. Well, U.S. and South Korea, but the U.S. was the biggest out of the UN forces. Theprofessional, I hope you are well. I was wondering, do you think John betrayed Javier because Javier wouldn't have betrayed John? Red Dead? John betrayed Javier? Well, I don't understand what do you mean by that? Can you explain your position a little more? How did John betray Javier exactly? Are you talking about him working with Edgar Ross? Yeah, Mind's Eye Part 1 will be on the day it releases, yes. Thank you, Phoenix. John Marston, I deny these claims. Yeah, so I think more of it was Javier betrayed John, not the other way around. I think is that the one where like students were destroying toilets on TikTok? Is that what you're talking about, Dixon? Is that dumb crap? Yeah, Javier and Bill were pretty bad, but Micah was the worst one. get into a plane. I'm enjoying your Brothers in Arms playthrough. Thank you, Phoenix. Most evil Fallout villain? The most evil character in the Fallout series. This would be a difficult one to think about, that one. No, no, Lanius is not the most evil one. There's people that are worse than Lanius. I think the most evil character, if you even count him as a character, is possibly John Henry Eden. But John Henry Eden is a robot, so I don't know if you count him as a character. Braun is also really bad. Yeah, Braun is really evil as well. No, House isn't evil. House is not evil. You could make the argument that House does some bad things, sure, but he's not evil. Favorite Fallout companion? In Fallout 3, my favorite companion was Jericho. In Fallout 4, my favorite companion, either Strong or Gage. In Fallout New Vegas, my favorite companion will be Raul. What if Franklin never broke into Michael's house? He'd probably be stuck working at the dealership still. Thank you, Chief Officer Henry Wild. Ironically, that set up Franklin's career. And thank you, Fusion. I asked because Javier went looking for John Arthur, but I just felt like John betrayed him because he went looking for Javier to arrest him. Well, the thing about that is Javier was more loyal to Dutch than he was to John. That's ultimately what it was about. It was his blind loyalty, and you have to remember that Javier basically sided with Dutch when Dutch abandoned John. So I would say that Javier betrayed John first. And thing is, John didn't really have a choice. He didn't really have a choice. They were holding his family hostage. Sorry for the slow reply, man. No, it's okay, Fusion. Thank you for the super chats. And thank you, Dr. Beyonder. Oh, I see you got Raul as your avatar, the guy from GTA 6 now. How I thought that Abigail was a bit scummy to John. At times, sure. Sorry for asking about what, QC. You're fine, dude. Thank you, Dr. Beyonder, again. Can I ask you, what currency is that? TRY? I don't know if I've seen that before. What country's currency is that? Oh, you don't have to apologize, QC. Oh, it's Turkish money. Okay. What's wrong with Abigail? John Marston asks. Oh, man. Happy birthday. Thank you. Thank you, XYCZZ. What's your comment, April? No more prequels. No more. No more for Red Dead Redemption. I don't mind a new Red Dead game, but please, no more prequels. No more. If the next Red Dead game, you should play as Jack or play as somebody else. And it should be set after the events of Red Dead Redemption 1. Oh, thank you again, Dr. Beyonder. Thanks, dude. I wouldn't say he's necessarily evil. He probably wants what's best for the world. That's in his twisted mind, Jimmy. I'm starting a GTA YouTube channel. Any advice for me? Hey, PvP grinder. Yeah, I would, the truth is, starting a GTA channel right now, it's a lot harder than it used to be, because GTA Online is pretty much past its prime. Like, you know, starting out a GTA channel today will be pretty difficult. But like, you know, those updates were, you know, years ago, it was a lot easier to grow on it, but it doesn't mean you can't grow on it. But if GTA 6 comes out, here's the advice that I can give you. When GTA 6 comes out, upload the entire story of GTA 6 when it comes out. Upload, because what's going to happen is people are going to eventually search up those missions, and you're going to be one of the first few people that uploaded it, like, you know, right when the game came out, and you're going to get, like, views over time from that. That's one thing I would recommend you. And also, don't do it where, like, some YouTubers, what they do, and I really hate it when some YouTubers do this, but some YouTubers, they make a video out of every single mission in GTA. And I personally, I think that's ridiculous. Because there is, there are YouTubers that will make, if there's like a 5-minute mission, they'll do like a 5-minute video on just that one mission alone. And so, like, like San Andreas is like 100 missions, for example. There are people that will do like a video for every single mission individually. Don't do it like that. You know, have like a video, like, I would say keep your videos under an hour, but like have like a few missions in each video. That's like the best format that people like watching in. Like those long parts that are like under an hour. That's typically, I've noticed people on my channel, they tend to like that. When I do playthroughs, they tend to like videos that are usually like a little bit under an hour, and have like a good chunk of the story in each part. Thank you again, Dr. Beyonder. Thanks, dude. I personally enjoy your longer videos. Thank you, dude. I don't know if you believe the latest leaks or not, but I'm cringing at the rumors of burglaries not being in the game. Burglaries not being in the game? What, are you talking about GTA 6? No home invasions in GTA 6, no burglaries? Really? They better have burglaries in GTA 6. I love the burglaries in San Andreas. Oh, thank you again, Dr. Beyonder. You know, you're on a streak with those super chats. Thanks, dude. Can you post it again, April? Oh, I scratched Martin's limo. I hope he's not pissed about that. My most disliked Fallout companions? I don't know. I'd have to think about that. What companion do I dislike the most? I don't know. In general, a lot of the companions are great people. I'm calling GTA 6 woke if they don't add burglaries. Question for the chat. Who do you think would win in a fight, Nico Bellic or Trevor Phillips? If we're talking fist fight, it would be Trevor. If we're talking gunfight, Nico. Sniper duel, it would be Nico, 100%. Thank you, U20. Pegarino family's way weaker than Madrazo cartel. Oh yeah, 100%. And another super chat from Dr. Beyonder. Thank you, dude. Thank you. You're on fire with those super chats. Thank you. Will Nico return in GTA 6? No. I can't imagine that. There'd be no reason for him to be in Vice City. No, I don't think it's gonna happen. Thanks for responding to my question. No problem. Did I read your question, Dixon? Oh, that one, the Nico and Trevor one. Yeah, okay. For happy birthday. It's okay, Eamon. Thank you, dude. You don't have to apologize for being late. I appreciate, you know, the thanks. There was no reason for Johnny to be in San Andreas, but here we are, yep. I seen the story trailer for Mafia, yeah, I seen it. It black screened you? Wait, what minifig? Any good cars in Simeon's dealership this week? We can check, but that whole car dealership thing, like, nobody uses that. Like, that was, like, such a forgotten thing. Like, have you guys ever seen anybody use the car dealership vehicles? Like, I almost never see anybody go there or do anything with it. Happy birthday, great stream. Thank you, Elvis. Thanks, dude. It's useless unless there's removed vehicles there, yeah. There's nothing even in here.
Hi there.
Oh, now there's something here. The Hexer. Dual lore video on Simeon. Yeah. Simeon is such a scumbag. Why does communism never work? That's a great question. I can answer it. The reason communism never works is for four words. 4 words. It's against human nature. That's essentially why communism is a failed system and it's a garbage system, and it doesn't. It will never succeed. Basically, what drives society and pushes society forward is innovation. It is, creating new ideas, creating new new products, new medicines, new cars. So, like, for example, think about it this way: is that imagine there's like a deadly disease out there, right? And somebody makes a new treatment for that deadly disease, and this treatment is revolutionary, like it works. It's not like the greedy pharmaceutical companies, but it actually like works. Somebody that does something like that, they're going to want to be a millionaire. They're going to want to make a lot of money. I mean, sure, they're going to want to help people, but they're going to want to make a lot of money. And at the same time if you are living in a society where you get paid the exact same amount as everybody else, then literally, what's the point of innovation? What is the point of discovering new things? What's the point of, creating new products, creating new things? I'll tell you what the communist argument is. The communist argument is, it's for the benefit of society. It's not to benefit yourself, it's to benefit society. But that's basically what drives innovation. Humans are individualists by nature. We are individualist beings by nature. We think about ourselves primarily. And so when we are wanting to create something, we're going to want to get something for it. Why do I make a business? Because I want to make money. Everybody likes money. Everybody wants to make money. So there's really no point in innovation. There's no point in creating something if you're not going to get rewarded for it. Basically it. That's the problem with communism, is that communists basically think that everybody's doing everything from the goodness of their hearts, but in reality that's not how life works. This is why in capitalist countries always have so much more innovation than communist countries. Communist countries are a disaster. When do communist countries create something new? They create something unique that the rest of the world wants. When do they do that? The only thing I can think of that communist countries do that capitalist countries want is cheap labor. That's literally it. It's like in communist countries, people work for very cheap and they produce for like capitalist nations. That's it. Like literally, there is nothing else that I can think of that that a communist nation, communist nation provides for the rest of the world. Nothing whatsoever. Nothing. Like, what have they invented? Like, what have they made that it was revolutionary? I can't think of anything. Well, here's the thing about the AK-47. Mikhail Kalashnikov, the guy who made the AK-47, if he never lived under communism, if he never lived in the Soviet Union, he would have been one of the richest people in the world. I'm telling you that right now. Like, Mikhail Kalashnikov would be richer than Bill Gates. He would be. The guy who made the AK-47, the world's most mass-produced assault rifle, that guy would be a billionaire if he didn't grow up in the Soviet Union. That guy would be so rich. But just think about that. He made one of the greatest assault rifles ever made in history. And what did he get for it? All he basically got for it is he got a medal, Hero of the Soviet Union. That's all he got. Imagine that. Making one of the greatest assault rifles in the world, and all you get is basically a medal, Hero of the Soviet Union. That's it. That's why communism doesn't work. It's a disaster. I love how Murphy's Law is just hitting me hard. Well, thank you for the super chat, Minifake. That rumor better be fake. No home invasions in GTA 6 inexcusable. You had 12 or 13 years to work on this game, Rockstar. I agree with you. Yeah, there should be home invasions. I missed the chat. Well, I'm sorry, Agent Reaper. Let me take a look here. I just ordered Mind's Eye Deluxe Edition. Yeah, I'm gonna play Mind's Eye. I hope that it's I hope that it works. But yeah, you know, think about it this way: is that literally the only thing that communist countries have provided that capitalist countries have wanted is cheap labor. That's the only thing that they've provided that capitalist countries have wanted, and that's because they wanted to maximize profits. And so you think about this, like look at China. You know, where a lot of stuff is made in China because of the cheap labor. So literally, that's like the only thing I can think of that communist countries have, like, you know, like what else have they made? Nothing. Like they've never succeeded in anything. They haven't actually made like a revolutionary product for the world. Like nothing. So it's and here's what I'll tell you. This is that if I lived in a communist society, right, and I would not even bother studying. You know, I would not bother, you know, wanting to be a lawyer, a doctor, or anything else like that. I would just be a garbage man or a janitor. If I'm gonna make the same amount of money as, you know, like a doctor, a lawyer, you know, anybody else, I'm just gonna do the most bare minimum job ever. Like the job that requires the least amount of work, the least amount of education. I'm gonna do it because because there's no point in, you know, advancing. People advance, you know, careers because they want a promotion, they want a raise. That's the thing is, in the Soviet Union, you get promoted in the Soviet Union, but you get nothing else for being promoted. When you think about that, you know, you get, what's the point of a promotion if you just get more work, but you don't get any extra money for it? So that's why communism by just default is, you know, a disaster of a system. My parents grew up under, you know, a communist system. My parents grew up in the Eastern Europe, so it's just a disaster of a system. Look at Vietnam, for example. It's a communist country, but it has free market ideologies. Yeah, and I will tell you something about that, though. Vietnam's free market reforms are the only thing that saved it. That is the only thing that saved Vietnam. Because I will tell you, if Vietnam never put those free market reforms in, they would be just like North Korea today. Like, look at China, for example. China's economy was collapsing. It was a disaster. Like, Mao destroyed China's economy in the Great Leap Forward. It was a disaster. Massive famine. The whole country was about to collapse. And what did China do? The communists in China realized, this isn't working. You know, maybe we should legalize some free markets. And when they legalized the free markets in China, what happened? Their economy took off. The same thing happened in Vietnam. You know, Vietnam was a disaster after the Vietnam War. It was, you know, their industry was destroyed. They tried to rebuild it with industrialization, but in a communist society, you're not going to rebuild that quickly like that. And what did Vietnam do? Vietnam decided, you know what? We're going to do some free market reforms. And what did that do? That fixed their economy. And the only country out there, the only country that never went through free market reforms, there's two. There is Cuba and North Korea. Cuba at least allowed North Korea went through no free market reforms whatsoever, none. And what is North Korea today? North Korea is like a disaster. It is the worst country probably in the world to live in. It is such a terrible place to live. The only reason that the reason that Cuba isn't as bad as North Korea is because Cuba, even though it's a very controlled economy, at least trades with other countries. It trades with other countries. It deals with other countries. It doesn't trade with the U.S., but it does trade with other countries. It does. North Korea doesn't trade with anyone. I mean, nothing. I mean, at least Cuba has stuff that they export to other countries, like, you know, sugar, you know, bananas, you know, fruits. You know, there's stuff that Cuba at least grows and exports to other countries. What does North Korea export? Nothing. Like, nothing. There's maybe the only thing that North Korea exports is weapons to Russia. That's it. Like, literally nothing. So it's this is basically the horror of communism. It's a complete disaster. Every single time it's been tried, It is a disaster everywhere, no matter where you try it in the world. No matter if you try it in Africa, Europe, Asia, South America, wherever you try it, doesn't matter the continent. It is always a disaster. It's always a complete failure. Lobby is bugged. Won't let me rejoin. Thank you for the super chat, Minifig. Yeah, but the people in those socialist countries are shocked at how rich the American poor are compared to them. Yeah, and that's the thing is that a working class person in a Western country is always going to have a better life than a working class person in any communist nation. Always. Just throughout history. Working class people have had better, better living standards, better wages than they have had in communist countries. And here's the thing is, communist societies are not working class utopias. They're not even societies controlled by the working class. You know why? Because I'll tell you something. America is more pro-working class than the Soviet Union was. 100%. America is 10 times more pro-working class than the Soviet Union. You know why? Tell you why. Because in America, you can strike. In America, you can do that. If you get pissed off, you can strike at your job. You can do that. You can walk out of your job and you can go on strike. You might get fired from your job, sure, but you have the right to strike. The business can't have you arrested for striking. They can't do that. So if you're striking, if you refuse to work, if you decide to walk out, the business cannot have you arrested for that. That's protected by your First Amendment rights, your free speech to strike. However, though, and this is what people don't know, there is not one communist society where it was legal to strike. It was not legal to strike in any communist society. You could not walk out of work. People don't know that. You couldn't walk out in the Soviet Union, China, North Korea, Cuba, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Angola, Yugoslavia. I'm just trying to think of all the communist countries out there. Albania, Romania, Hungary, Poland. There is not one communist country where you could actually strike. If you went on a strike in the Soviet Union, you get arrested. If you basically said, I'm pissed off with these working conditions, and you went on strike, you're going to get arrested in the Soviet Union. People don't know that. And not only are you banned from striking, you are actually not allowed to join a union. That's right. Unions are illegal in communist countries. Unions, they're not allowed. And do you know why unions are not allowed? Because the government says workers don't need a union because the government will protect them. That's what the government says. So in communist countries, the government always says, oh, workers don't need unions because the government will protect them. But in America, you can form a union and you can bargain with your employer. And if your employer treats you like crap and he signed a contract with the union can retaliate against the employer. My mom, she's a cleaner in Manhattan and she's part of a union. And her, what happened was her boss, her company tried to cut a lot of their hours, like a few years ago, and the union basically took them to court, was like, no, you signed a contract that the workers are supposed to work this, and they won. And they had to make a big payout to the workers in the union. So that's the point that I'm getting at, is that in America, we're not a perfect society. We make mistakes, sure. It's bound to happen. But our system is way superior than any communist system that has ever existed on this planet. Way better. Way superior. So that's it. I know that capitalism is not a perfect system. There are problems with capitalism. I'm not saying that it's perfect. But if you compare capitalism to everything else that's been tried throughout history, capitalism is always the superior system to everything else. Everything. There is not a better system than capitalism. It is the best one out there. So it's not the perfect system, but it is the best one out there. North Korea exports to the United States of America. I'll tell you what North Korea exports. You know what North Korea exports to America? They export counterfeit bills. That's what North Korea exports to America. Yeah, people don't know that between 10 to 20% of all counterfeit bills in America come from North Korea. A lot of people don't know that. So if you ever see a counterfeit bill, especially if you're counting money, it's probably from North Korea. Make a new lobby. This lobby's glitched. Okay, I can make a new lobby. Hang on. But we humans are also social by nature. Sure, we might be social. We interact with other humans, but we care about ourselves primarily. I'm gonna have to make a new session, guys, because Minifig can't join. I mean, when you really think about it, at the end of the day, think about it. who do people care about more? Do you care about your neighbors or your family more? You care about your family more. So people might be social, but they care about their close family the most, and they're very individualist by nature. Maybe there's cultures that are less individualist, but like in America, for example, Americans are probably the most individualist people on the planet. Like American culture revolves heavily around individualism, where like European culture, for example, is more collectivist. Like my parents' country of Poland, their society is a bit more collectivist. A lot of Polish people when they come to America, they're a bit confused that like America is a lot more individualist. I never argue for communism, but socialism seems cool. It puts people over profit. Now, socialism is a disaster as well. Socialism is as bad as communism because at least it allows some free markets, but it's still a terrible system. And here's the thing. Here's the thing I'll tell you about this. Uh, the the people constantly point to like Norway, Sweden, Denmark. They say like Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, all of these countries. These countries are socialist countries. Here's what people won't tell you about this. The Those countries, the Scandinavian countries, they don't call themselves socialist. Not one of those countries call themselves socialist. The Danes don't call themselves socialist. The Swedes don't call themselves socialist. The Norwegians don't call themselves socialists. They might call themselves social democrats. That's what they might call themselves. But they don't call themselves socialists by any means. Do you know what a true socialist country is? You know what it is? Venezuela. That's what a true socialist country is. Venezuela. The Scandinavian countries are very much still capitalist countries. And does anybody here want to live in Venezuela? I sure don't. I've seen I've just seen what's been going on in Venezuela. I've been reading the news. I would never want to live in Venezuela. So that's all I'll say. Venezuela is a true socialist country, and you can see exactly what's going on in Venezuela. Okay. John Birch? Who's that random fisted? The name sounds familiar.
Hello, hello.
I feel like individualism in USA destroyed the education system. No, I wouldn't say that. Personally speaking, here's what I'll tell you about this. I've argued with a lot of people about this, and I've even argued with a college professor about this subject exactly. Uh, but I had a college professor that was he was from an East Asian country, and he was basically talking about how in his country that education is on a federal level, that federally the education is basically the same across the whole country. And I argued with him, and he was telling me about like how other countries have higher test scores. But here's what I'll tell you, and this is what surprises people. When I say this, it surprises people a lot. But just because one country has higher test scores than America does not make that country's education system better. That's what people don't understand. People think that just because one country has higher test scores, that means that their education system is better. That's not true. Because I'll explain what I mean by that. Is that in America, for example, Americans, if you like compare like Americans, for example, to Europeans, and I'm not disrespecting Europeans when I say this, but like Americans, for example, value freedom when it comes to education, freedom and individuality when it comes to education. Europeans are a lot more collectivist when it comes to education. They believe that the government should be more heavily involved in that. Americans think that the government generally should be less involved in education. But in America, the ideology is that you have basically the choice of where you want to study, how you want to do it. So if you want to send your kids to a public high school, you can do that. If you want to send your kids to a private high school and pay for it, you can do that. If you want to send your kids to a religious, high school, you can do that. If you want to homeschool your kids, you can do that. And a lot of other countries don't give you that choice. A lot of other countries, they will tell you, no, you have to take your kids to this public school, and that's it. You cannot take them to a private school. You cannot homeschool them. The government is going to tell them everything that we're going to teach them everything. You're not allowed to teach your kids, in generally stuff like that. And so that's the thing is that if you were to tell Americans about stuff like that, like me as an American, I would rather my country have lower test scores than the rest of the world, but at least have the freedom to choose our education. At least have the freedom to choose how we get educated, instead of, being forced to be educated a specific way. So that's just my personal viewpoint on it. So when people tell me that other countries are better than my country because of, like, higher test scores, I don't necessarily believe that, because I believe more in freedom of choice. I believe that you have the freedom to choose what kind of education you want and choose where you study. So that's my viewpoint. I'm not disrespecting any country when I say that, by the way. I'm just saying my personal viewpoint on this. But I've seen people say a lot of times. I look at comments. People say, oh, America has lower test scores in this country, and this blah 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 this. So this country is, like, better than America. It's not true. Just because another country has higher test scores doesn't mean that that country's education system is better. And also, I will tell you something. If you look at countries like, for example, like India, China, like, Japan, South Korea. If you look at those countries in general have higher test scores than America. They do. But those students in those countries, Indian students, Chinese students, Japanese students, South Korean students, those students are not as stressed out as American students. Like, the stress that those students go through, they have way more mental health problems than, like, American students do, because it's the education, the work, constantly being pushed, constantly being, overworked with education, constantly having it shoved down their throats, barely any breaks, constantly told to study for exams, constantly going crazy with all of this stuff. And so that's why in those countries, that's why in those Asian countries, the suicide rate is so high for students. That's why the suicide rate is higher than, like, American students. Because in those countries, kids are basically pushed to the brink. Like, they're constantly study this. They barely get any breaks. And it destroys their mental health, and a lot of kids can't handle that. And unfortunately, that's what's one of the leading causes of suicide in those countries. That's, like, for example, why Japan has such a high suicide rate among students, because of that. Because they're so pushed. And also a lot of these a lot of these countries, students go to school for 6 days a week. 6 days a week, and they're forced to wear uniforms. They're forced to wear uniforms. They are forced to wear uniforms 6 days a week. Very strict schools. I would never want, to go to a school like that personally. And you take a look at a country like Finland, for example. Finland has, I think they have a 4-day week in school. So Finnish kids only go to school for, I think, 4 days. Correct me if I'm wrong, or it might be 4 hours only. I think it's 4 days or 4 hours. And their students are very happy. They have, like, one of the most productive and, like, happy students in the world. So all of this push for education, it isn't always the best thing. But the thing is that people have to people have to think about what's good for the mental health of students too. Uh, I know that parents a lot of times want to push their kids to do better at school, but at the same time is you have to think about the mental health of your kids, and what your kids are going through. Letting your kids relax, letting your kids, like, play video games, letting them hang out with friends. That's not going to make them a worse student. Give them, like, a chance to relax, like, actually do stuff. But that's basically it. What I was getting at is that just because one country has higher test scores than another country does not make that country necessarily better. And that's what people don't understand. People look at high test scores and they think that, oh, this country's smarter than this country's because they have higher test scores. It's not necessarily always the case. Thank you, Tactical. I love your stories, entertaining. Thank you. You missed my super chat? I'm sorry. I'll take a look at it in one moment here. Yeah, this AI stuff is toxic. I will agree with you, like, on that. It's like when I was in school, we never had this AI crap. But it's like kids will look up stuff on AI and they'll be like, oh, the AI said this, so it's fact, it's true, and then they'll write papers on that. Yara, can you put this in here? It's glitched. Somebody else has to get on. One of the reasons I enjoy this channel is hearing your knowledge on history. Thank you, Rude. Rude Vault Boy. Thanks, dude. Patrick pissed at the Truancy. Do elaborate about that. Wait, what do you mean, Fair? What are you talking about? the problem is not test scores, it's more about student ethics and also school violence. Well, I will say this, every country has, like, you know, every country has their problems and their issues, but I will tell you that, some of the school that I would have gone to, the high school that I would have gone to in the city would have been very dangerous, because I moved, like, in 8th grade, I moved to, like, Long Island, to the suburbs of New York, but the high school that my best friend ended up going to, because he lived in the same neighborhood as me, that school was very dangerous, and I'm actually happy I never went to that school. But that school was pretty dangerous. Kids were such psychos in that school that what they would do is they would take the blade they would take the blade from a kitchen knife, and they would actually snap the blade off of the handle, and then they would cut the blade, and then they would put the blade actually in their phones. They would take out the batteries from their phones, and they would put the blade in that, and that's how they would basically get blades into the school, and they would stab kids. There was one kid who actually stabbed another kid to death in that school. So it's, yeah. There are violence problems. Oh, my opinion of truancy students skipping school? It's never a good idea to skip school. Why, that's horrible. Crazy students. What you said about Indian education is true. In India, a student kills themselves every 20 minutes according to the government. That's horrible. And that's the thing, is that, like, the people that always talk about really high test scores, they never want to hear about that. They never want to hear about it. Like, you bring that up to them, and they'll completely ignore that. They will completely disregard that. They'll pretend like that's not true, what you're saying to them. But, you know, I've heard people say, oh, you know, Asian countries have higher test scores. Asian countries are better than, like, America when it comes to test and education. And then I bring up the suicide rates, and I say, you know, this country might have, like, you know, higher test scores than American students, but American students aren't as stressed out as Asian students. Like, students in, like, Asia, like, you know, they're going to school, like, 6 days a week, barely have any breaks, constantly working, constantly pushed for all these exams, overloaded with all of this schoolwork, and because of that, it just takes a toll on their mental health, and it causes a lot of suicides. So that's what people won't talk about, is they won't talk about that. If you, like, compare the suicide rates between, like, Americans and, like, students in, like, Asia, Asian students on average have much higher suicide rates than Americans do. Worst thing that Brian Griffin has done, you're talking about Family Guy. The worst thing Brian did is probably the real estate scam that he was pulling on Quagmire. What is your take on the European Union? As when I talk about the European Union, I'm gonna have bias, but it's my bias is gonna be strictly coming from a Polish perspective. So, like, a Polish perspective on the European Union, because I have family in Poland, so I'm gonna be speaking specifically through it, like, a Polish perspective on it. Here's the thing: when people say that Poland is the most pro-EU country in Europe, that's not true. There are polls out there that, like, show, like, you know, Poland has, like, an 80%, you know, approval rating with the EU, but those polls are not true. The reason they're not true is because those polls only ask Polish people if they want to leave the European Union. Most Polish people don't want to leave the European Union, but it doesn't mean that they're necessarily fans of the European Union. So, from a Polish perspective, most Polish people, they want to stay in the European Union. They like trade in the European Union. So, like, the free trade between countries in the European Union. They like the free travel between countries in the European Union. Like, you know, going from one country to another to work in another country. Polish people like that in general. And they don't have a problem with, like, you know, people from, like, other EU nations also coming to Poland. But what Polish people really don't like about the European Union is they don't like the politics of it. They really hate that part of it. They hate the political bureaucracy. They hate the fact that other countries interfere in Polish affairs. They really don't like that in general. So that's what Polish people really don't like about the EU, is that a lot of Polish people, for example, they say that they joined the EU as, like, a trading bloc. It was meant to be a trading bloc, but instead of being a trading bloc, it basically became this bureaucratic political, like, movement. Like, my cousin, for example, my cousin is British, and my cousin voted to leave the European Union. And he voted to leave the European Union because he was pissed about the fact that the European Union was just constantly, like, interfering in Britain's affairs and constantly, like, constantly trying to make laws in Britain, and on top of that, it was the fact that the EU laws were like superseding British laws. So like if Britain like basically passed a law and that law was not compatible with the EU could just basically abolish it and say no, EU law is supreme, and they'll just get rid of that. So that's in general what people are, and the thing is, if the EU does not reform this, the EU will break up in the future if they don't reform this. They need to stop the bureaucracy, because the thing about this is whenever people complain about the EU, whenever people do complain about it, the people who defend the EU, they constantly lash out at them. They attack them. They call them bigots or say that you're ignorant and all this stuff, but they don't understand why people are pissed at the EU in the first place. Instead, what the EU should be doing is it should be trying to reform itself. It should stop being such a political bureaucracy and start focusing more on economics. Stop interfering in other countries' affairs, and instead just let other countries trade. Do free trade. Most people support free trade between countries, but don't push laws on other countries that don't want it. That's what pissed off people in Poland. Like France and Germany, for example, they did that a lot to Poland. They constantly would put sanctions on Poland, and when the Polish government did something that they didn't like, they would constantly sanction it. Like for example, like do you know that Poland historically is a country that has been robbed of a lot of its natural resources. Like the Germans and the Russians historically have robbed Poland of a lot of their natural resources. One of the biggest resources in Poland is, for example, coal. There's a lot of coal in Poland, and Poland can actually make a lot of money from selling that coal. But what happened is when Poland actually tried to mine the coal mines, the Germany in the EU went against Poland, and they started interfering in like Polish affairs, and they told Poland that Poland can't mine coal because it's bad for the environment and all this. And so when you think about that, they're telling Poland, another country, that they can't mine coal in their own country. Why should a country like Germany have the right to tell a country like Poland they can't mine coal in their own country? And a lot of Polish people see that and they get pissed off, and they say basically like, Germany's being imperialist to us. They're interfering in our affairs. Like, and they see like Germany, this really big rich country, and they're like, why do they have the right to tell us what to do? If we want to mine coal in our own country, we should be able to mine coal in our own country. So ultimately, I know my answer is a little more complicated on that, but the point that I'm getting at is if the EU wants to survive, it should stop interfering in other countries' affairs. Focus on trade. That's what everybody likes, trade. Focus on free trade, but stop getting involved in other countries' affairs, because all it does is pisses people off and makes people want to leave the Union. Let me see here. Worst thing Patrick did in SpongeBob? Oh, I have to think about that one. What just happened? Oh, you're trying to lose the cops. Okay, I see. That's the same stance that China and India said to the U.S. and others in regards to CO2 emissions, and I agree with that. Though I don't think like I don't think that that the U.S. should be telling other countries how to mine resources in their own country. So if India and China want to mine something in their own country, that's their business. That's that. I can help you right after this. Minifig, I'm gonna help WRV sell his bunker right after this. Did you see my earlier super chat? Oh, I'm sorry, dude. Let me take a look. Favorite new game you played this year? A new game that I played this year. My favorite one? Ace Attorney Investigations, yeah. It came out last year, but I didn't get the chance to play it until this year. Ace Attorney Investigations. How do you budget for buying new games and electronics? I rarely buy electronics. Not really much. For new games, I haven't really bought any new games in some time. Do you think Karen, Hosea, Sean, and Lenny would have joined? Yeah, Karen, Sean, and Lenny and Hosea would have definitely been on Arthur's side in that 100%. Yeah, definitely. If they are telling you not to do something, they should give you some kind of compensation for not allowing you to do it. Here's what I'll tell you about that OIT. I'll tell you guys a crazy story about this. You guys remember how I told you that Germany would like tell Poland that they can't mine coal in their own country? They were saying, oh, it's bad for the environment. The Polish can't do this. But I'll tell you this. Germany forced Poland to close down its coal mines during years ago. So years ago, Germany basically in the EU forced Poland to shut down its coal mines. And that was a huge part of Poland's economy. It put a lot of mine workers out of business, and they were pissed about that. They were angry. Now, what ended up happening was a couple years later, that really horrible war starts in Ukraine. Russia attacks Ukraine, and Germany and Poland reopens its coal mines. And when Poland reopens its coal mines, guess what Germany says to Poland? Russia cuts off its gas to Germany. And then at the same time as Germany is demanding Poland now export coal to them. So they told Poland at the start, they told Poland, shut down your coal mines, it's bad for the environment. Then when Russia cuts off Germany's gas, Germany basically says to Poland, sell us your coal, give us your coal right now. And Poland was like, no. That's what the Polish perspective was like. We have to help our own people. Our people are going to suffer in the winter without this Russian gas. We're going to heat our own homes right now. So we're going to focus on our own country. And that pissed Germany off. But that was basically Poland's perspective, is that they had to take care of their country first. But that was that's it. That's why Poland has had so many problems with the German government. It constantly interferes in Polish affairs, as people get so mad about that. Let me see. Am I in a CEO? WRV, can you invite me to your business? Your bunker, please invite me. Leaving the EU has a detrimental effect in my local region in recent years. Well, leaving the EU would definitely have negative effects too. But the point, here's the thing. I never said that leaving the EU or joining the EU is a good or bad thing. The only thing I said is I basically said my perspective on it. But I'll tell you something. If more countries leave the European Union, that won't be the fault of those countries. It will be the fault of the European Union when that happens. Because if the European Union wants to stop countries from leaving, stop interfering in their affairs. That's all they have to do. Stop interfering in other countries' affairs. Stop telling countries how to run their political systems. Stop interfering in their elections. Stop telling them they can, mine coal in their own country. Things like that. Stop interfering in their affairs, and less countries will want to leave the EU. But when you have this giant, bureaucratic body constantly, interfering in other countries' affairs, people get pissed about that. Okay, I can help you with that, too, WRB.
Believe.
Your Polish love from Hungary, brother. So thank you, Juanito. Thank you for the super chat. Can you help me with my casino heist double money tomorrow? Yeah, I can help you tomorrow. Just make sure to remind me, agent. Please just send me a message tomorrow on PSN to remind me. You're so wrong and so right at the same time about the EU. My views are only my opinion. I don't claim to have all the answers. I don't even claim to be right. One guy asked me my viewpoint, what I basically think, so I just answered it. That was my viewpoint, what I think. And the thing is, I explained it from a Polish perspective. So everything that I explained there was from a Polish perspective. That's how a lot of Polish people feel about the EU. So that was basically that. You can ask most Polish people; they will have the exact same view that I basically explained right there. That they're basically pissed about other countries interfering in their affairs, and that's why they don't like the EU in general. Oh, hey, Joker, how are you, dude? here we go. Next one. Okay.
That is total bullshit!
What's your thoughts on Japan and Russia's feud over the Kuril Islands? I think those islands belong to Japan. I don't think that they belong to Russia. I think those islands historically are more... Japan has more of an argument for it. Thoughts on the upcoming Alien Earth series? Wait, what? What are you talking about, Joker? Do you think Salieri was a good Don? No, Salieri was a terrible person. The thing about these cars, what people forget about them, is they're great off-road. On GTA, Joker? Have you heard about the, have you heard of the Red Dead Redemption 2 PS5 port rumor? Yeah, people have talked about it to me before, but I haven't heard about it personally. What kind of question is that, Jay? He was an evil man. One of the worst human beings ever. You're a man of honor, thank you. Okay, here we go. Okay, got that. Have I tried GeoGuessr? Yeah, I versed Dark Viper at you a few times. What's my favorite heat action from Yakuza 0? Wish you could talk more about gaming pad. Sure, what do you want to ask me, Ant? But, will GTA 6 have crossplay? Possibly. Who needed help with their casino heist, by the way? Pro, tell us a life lesson you've learned, learned about, good or bad. I love a good story. Think of something. I will tell you this, you need help Beyonder? Do I have you added Beyonder, by the way? I'll give you guys some advice here. I've told this one before. Joker might not have heard this one before, but the easiest way to tell